It's Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician. Just wanted to make a video here. Actually, I wanted to try to kill two birds with one stone with this video. I wanted to communicate with my customers, and also kind of wanted to let some people in on the behind the scenes of what it takes to be an everyday professional technician. Um, I don't know if there's any nice way to say this, but there's a big difference in the guys that work on their own cars on the weekends, or work on their friends' cars over a few beers, or they grew up working on their own cars or building their own cars, and those of us that are day to day professionals. There's a lot of variables involved in what we do, and sometimes jobs can jump up and kind of bite us back. And the question is what do you do then? Do you end up charging the customer for it? Do you eat extra time and labor, stuff like that? This Nissan 3.5 Quest is a good example of that. There's been a lot of extra issues that have come up. One of the biggest issues that first came up was we had a stripped out nut on one of the tensioner pulleys, and we ended up having to break out some of the bigger tools in order to get that off. We ended up having to grind it down and using the big air hammer, and that to get that off, that took the better part of a half a day for this job. And then from there, of course, we had the problem with the main crank bolt being seized up inside of there, which we actually currently have reinstalled right now because we're using it to turn our engine over. But after a combination of a 1,000 pound gun and tools that honestly aren't even used in automotive industry, this is a tool for a Caterpillar or a big backhoe or a bulldozer or something. And manpower, expertise, and knowledge, we were finally able to get that off. Then from there, we had what we call a production change in the vehicle. Now, I've taken these off before, and never before have I seen two internal bolts, one here and one here, that are actually inside of the engine, inside of the oil pan. This part of the timing cover is inside of the oil pan. Now, I'm pretty sure the reason why these are here nowadays is because these timing covers used to like to crack all along in this area. So while I was doing the factory procedure on this vehicle, I noticed that there was a updated technical service bulletin telling me that I actually needed to go ahead and uninstall the oil pan and go inside of here to get to these bolts. So we ended up having to do that. Unfortunately, in order to do that, we had to take a bunch of extra steps. We had to go ahead and install an engine plate on the top half of the engine and install our new engine mount support bar, so that way we could take the jack out from underneath of the engine and drop the oil pan. So, again, when you do this every day, different makes, different models, and you're doing heavy line work like this, these are some of the things that you run into. And you have to remember, the variables. People need their car back, really quick. There's finances involved in this and whatnot. So these customers, however, they won't be charged anything extra for this stuff. They're great customers. They don't ever give me a hard time about any extra time or anything and whatnot. So as a good honest mechanic, we'll go ahead and do all this and not be too concerned about it. One thing I wanted to communicate to my customers directly was we are now down to the timing, and just everybody in general. This gets very scary. I'm going to tell you why this gets scary. Right now, all of our timing marks are aligned according to our factory settings, and this vehicle is set to top dead center. The reason why this gets scary, though, is if you do not set this vehicle right the first time, when you do this job and you go to start this vehicle, you will have a check engine light, or the VVT will jump. The timing chain will jump a tooth, and you will have to go back in and redo this whole job over again just to reset the timing. So that the point that we're at right now, we're right up to the top of this hill where we can start going downhill on it, but it gets a little bit tricky from here. Also, you can see your broken timing chain tensioner, which is right here, and you can see the guide rail that slides up and down. I think I lost my my focus there on the camera. So, but yep, that's where our broken parts are, and so that's where we're at on our Nissan 3.5. And again, some variables came up, some unforeseen things came up, but I think a good shop and a good technician would not charge extra for these things. Go ahead and still do a good job in hopes that the customer comes back. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Treasure Valley and Boise, for supporting us. Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician.